Hello, my crafty chicks. It is Sarah from Scrappin' in the City, and today I've got a new tool for you. You may remember our Crafter's Essential rulers that we have carried here in the store for a while that everyone loves. Let me actually move this off so that you can see. So these rulers, we just got restocked. They're made by another scrapbook store in Missouri. Friend Courtney that owns her store, and they have a laser machine, so they've cut these rulers out of acrylic. So they're engraved on the back and they're white. They also have our logo on them and all of our website and information. The reason we love these rulers is you've got all the measurements on these rulers. So let me actually move this so that you can see, maybe if I pull it up a little closer. You have got all of your measurements on this ruler. So if you need a 5 1/8 or 5 3/8 or 5 1/16, you can, the measurements are there. So you don't have to know your ruler so well, if you know what I mean. So the top is a 12-inch ruler with all the measurements, and the bottom is a 0 centering ruler. So it'll go 6 this way and 6 this way. So if you need to find the center of something, that is great to come in handy. Then we also have the Card Maker's 6-inch ruler. Exact same thing, it's just half the size. So it has the 0 centering going to 3 and then 6 inches with all your measurements on it. If you'll remember in the past, if the white is hard for you to see, you can easily make your ruler black. Because they are etched on the back side, you can just take some paint, I would just use like acrylic paint and a dauber and go over the back of it and wipe off the excess, and then you have black measurements. So whichever is easier for you to see. They come white and you would just need to add the ink to make them black. So we've got these restocked. They're a favorite that we've had for quite a while. So these are back in stock now, the Crafter's Essential rulers, the 12-inch and the 6-inch. So those are back, but I wanted to show you a new product today. And this is the Crafter's Essential layers. And so this is what you get, now that I've moved everything, show you that. This is what you get with the layers. This is great for card makers. You're going to be able to line up and get your perfect measurements without having to do the math. So just like with the rulers, all the measurements already being there, this is what you'll be able to easily get with the Crafter's Essential layers. So these are the layers. These are also done on the laser and made out of acrylic. So what you get is you get a base that has all of your measurements etched on it. So I'm going to show you how to use this. And then you get all of these, let's see here. Let me put them back in order here. Get all of these, I think it's 8 layers. So you've got all of these measurements here, from 1/8, 3/16, 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, 1/2, 3/4, and 5/8. Or I've got those backwards, but you catch my drift. So you get all of these layers, and the 1/16 is so skinny. See, this is the 1/8, so it's super, super skinny. So the 1/16 is so skinny that they have etched it on your base. So it is etched, if you can see that line. Let's see here. Not sure if you can see that line that is etched in right along the edge, so it's there as well. So let me show you how this works in action. So just going to start. So what they have here, they have all your measurements. So basically, if you're starting with a A2 card, your basic card, so I've already got my base cut. Another thing that I do like about these is you can also use them within your MISTI. So if you want to use these kind of with a bumper, then you can lay them inside your MISTI and use that as well. So they do fit in the MISTI. But this is what I like about this. So I'm gonna keep that from moving. So I've got my base paper, which is my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. move my layers up. So I'm going to put that there. And let's say, so I've got it just nudged right into the corner. So let's say I want to do a small 1/8. Let's do the smallest one. 1/8 inch border. Then I'm going to lay that in the corner. And for the 1/8 inch layer here from my base, it tells me my piece of paper needs to be cut at 4 5 1/4. So I'm going to get my pattern paper and I'm going to cut it. Let's see, what was it? For 1/8, that's what I'm doing, the 1/8. See, each of these are marked on the piece, so you know what you're doing. So for 1/8, I need 4 by 5 1/4 is what I need to cut my paper to. So I'm going to cut my paper to 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. All right, so get messed up here. I'm trying to keep everything on camera for you. So I've got my base. I'm going to put in my 1/8 inch, and then now I have my 1/8 inch piece cut. So I'm just gonna glue it down. So I'm using this one up here, and I just put it right in the corner. So then when I pull it out, I've got my perfect measurements. I'm moving, sorry. I probably should have used a regular glue and not a liquid glue, but that gives me my perfect 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay, so let's do it again. So I've got a solid, I want to layer again. So let's go a little bigger this time. Let's go with the 1/2 inch. So I've got the 1/2 inch corner, the layer. So now, so that this doesn't keep moving, I'm loving using my magnetic mat already, my big craft mat. Okay, so I've got my 1/8. So now I want a 1/2 inch border with this pattern. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here to the layers and I'm gonna look at this 1/2 inch and see that it tells me I need to add or subtract 1 inch. So for the 1 inch, I need to cut my paper. I need to cut it down. So let me do this here for you. Okay, so if I just cut my paper, first I did the 1/8. So I was at 4 by 5 1/4 is what my floral is, what I just cut it down to, because that's what it told me to do. So if I want to add a 1/2 inch border, then I need to take off 1 inch. So I'm going to need to cut my solid to 4 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to cut, there's my math here. Lose my paper. So I'm going to cut my next piece of paper, my next layer, to 4 1/4 by 3 inches. So with that math, that gave me my next layer. So I'm gonna glue it on. I'm just gonna put it right in the notch there. And so now I have that perfect 1/2 inch border all the way around. So just for the sake of showing you again, let's add a different layer. Let's add another one. So now we're gonna do a 4th. So let's add a 4th. So I'm gonna lay the 4th in there. Okay, so I just cut my measurements. That last one I just did was 3 by 4 1/4. So if I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch now, I look over here at my guide, and at the 1/4 inch, it's telling me I need to take off a 1/2 inch now. So I'm gonna take off a 1/2 inch, so that gives me my 2 1/2, and I'm gonna take off a 1/2 inch here, so that gives me my 3 3/4. Okay, so now my next layer needs to be cut at 2 1/2 by 3 3/4 to get that. So let me find a piece of white paper here. And I'm gonna cut. So this is doing the math for me. I'm gonna cut it 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. Okay, so see, that gives me my little white. So this is where I'm gonna put on my adhesive and I'll put it right in the corner there, and voila. So you can see everything is exactly measured out perfectly with my exact measurements. So I did an 1/8 inch border, then I did a 1/2 inch, then I did a 1/4 inch. So if you don't want to have to do the math, I did this kind of for you visually so you can see what I'm doing, but that just gives you the breakdown. So the essential layers is what we're looking at for today, and that gives you your base plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different size layers. So they all come in a baggie together, and you can see all the measurements on them. If you wanted yours black, remember you can add the ink to the back of the ruler with your acrylic ink, and you could do the same on this so that it shows up a little better if you like that. So pretty cool, nifty little gadget to get your perfect layers. Hope you enjoy.